What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next, I've got about a $23,000 comic unboxing. Stay tuned. Alright, before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So, I've been doing quite a few big unboxings lately, and it's just because I have been selling quite a few books lately, and so I just always put that back into more books. So I end up buying more books. I have a lot of boxes to open. They've all come in about the last week. So if you watch my prior video where I did the unboxing of the books from Golden Age Guru, that would have been in this, so it would have added to that total, but I opened those separately. So I've got these boxes here, and then these two, and then this one, this really big box here. So I've got a lot of boxes to open up, and there are some awesome books in here. I'm very excited about these. Definitely some that are kind of going to end up on what I've talked about before, kind of like my 50 keepers list. I basically enforce a loose rule on myself where I try to limit the number of books that I keep in the personal collection. It just kind of keeps things in perspective and in scope and all that. And so when I add a book to that, it means I often have to remove another book. But there are some great books in here, and I'm really excited about, from the Silver Age, Bronze Age, might be modern, and back into the Golden Age, and some really cool Golden Age books. Alright, so I'm just going to start opening up these boxes. I'll talk about the different books that are in here, what makes them important. As I mentioned, there's about $23,000 in books, and there's a mix of raw books and slabs. Alright, and I'm going to start with this one here first. This should be a Silver Age book. This is a pretty good key, I think. It's an older Silver Age book. It's one that I've actually never owned before. I've never had a copy of this book before, and I saw it on a recent claim sale, and I thought the price was good, and I ended up picking it up. And packaging is great. They used a Gemini mailer, and they've got pull tabs and all of that, so it just makes it real easy to get this book out. So this first book here is Strange Tales number 126. And so this is actually the first appearance of Dormammu, who is right here. It's also the first appearance of Clea, but the Dormammu first appearance is what makes this one more important. It's a really nice presenting copy. He graded it at a 5.5, so I mean, it seems accurate enough to me, at least from this perspective. I'll take a closer look afterwards, just, I always do with the raw books. But yeah, so first appearance of Dormammu, who was the kind of one of the main villains in the first Doctor Strange movie. And so there we go. Alright, so that's the first book. Now, the next one here, this one's actually, I think, pretty interesting that I was able to pick this book up, because I actually talked about it on one of my market videos. And so I was talking about a book that I had kind of wished I would have picked up in the Heritage auction, and I ended up not buying it in that auction, and just kind of randomly, this week, somebody reached out to me, and his on Instagram he goes by Silver King Comics, so if you want to go check him out, he reached out to me, and because he was looking to sell some books because he needed to get some cash to purchase something else, and so he showed me this book, and I was like, oh man, I was just thinking, I'm like, that's crazy, just because it was one that I had been considering having picked up as well, and he also showed me a few other books, some raws, and there was one that I was interested in, and we were able to make a deal on the package for the two books together. Packaging is great. He actually, it was funny. He asked, he's like, have you opened it yet? And I said no, and I was like, I'm gonna open it, on one of these unboxing videos, and he's like, that'll be funny if it's empty. And I was like, well, everybody will see it then, with me, but it definitely is not empty. So the first one I'll show is the raw book. This is such a cool book. All right, And I will probably send this one in to get graded, but we'll see. I'll take a look at it. And this is Terrifying Tales, number 15. And this is a great L.B. Cole cover. If you've watched my channel before, I talk about L.B. Cole quite a bit. He's got these covers that you can really just pick out his covers because they've got these bright colors on them. It's a great, also like good girl art type cover, battling an alligator. Just a cool book. And there are not many of these on the census, so just a cool book I thought to pick up, especially since I've been looking after, trying to pick up these L.B. Cole books lately, and so that's just a fun one to add. Now, next book, also an L.B. Cole book, and this one is cool, and you'll recognize it if you watch one of my prior market videos. This is Blue Bolt, number 114, and this is another L.B. Cole book. It's this underwater zombie cover, and you can see it's just got a lot of great elements on it. It's got these like guys buried in the sand underneath, this chained zombie, even the fish look really cool with how they're colored. It's even got a shark back here in the background, so really cool pre-code horror L.B. Cole book, 1952. So it's very, very happy to be able to add this book, and he was able to pick up a great book because of that sale. So we both ended up getting something that we wanted out of it, and so a book that I had kind of regretted not purchasing, I ended up getting the exact same book. Like, this was actually the book that was sold on that Heritage auction, so I just think that's crazy that it still ended up here with me. All right, now on to the next book, and I've talked about this seller before as well. This is technically from Elite Comics 11, so they're on Instagram. They're kind of like a broker for other people that they sell comics for. They also do live claim sales, where again they're brokers for comic shops and dealers, that kind of thing. This was actually one of these they call it collector's stash sales, where it's somebody who's not technically like a dealer is selling their books through them, and this was actually one of the guys that works at Elite, and he was selling some of his books, and I decided to pick this one up. And I actually have another copy of it, but I thought it was a great deal, so I decided to buy it. And packaging is great. There's a lot of packaging in here. All right, and I think most of you will recognize this book. It is a very popular, famous McFarlane book. And this is Amazing Spider-Man, number 316. It's a 9/4, but it's the first full cover appearance of Venom. And I think this is one of just the best Venom covers that exists. I absolutely love this cover. It's a 9/4, so not a 9/8, but it's still a great book to have. Awesome cover. But I just love the way Venom looks and is drawn on this cover. All right, now the next one. So this is also from Instagram. This is from a seller that goes by Geek Aficionado, and he was selling some books to kind of consolidate and pick up some larger kind of like Grail type books. So that's really cool that he's going after those. There's some basically some DC books, and so this was one that I've been wanting to pick up for a while. I think it's definitely something I'm picking up for spec purposes. It is not a long-term hold type book for me. This is one that, in my mind, you sell this book around the time that the movie comes out. And so this is What If, number 10, and a 9/4. And this is the first time that Jane Foster is depicted as Thor. You can see it's up there on the label there. First time Jane Foster as Thor, not in Marvel Comics continuity. And that's because this is one of these What If books. So it's not in Marvel Comics continuity, but it's still considered the first time she's there as Thor. And the comic market really has decided that this is the book to get. This book has gotten very pricey, especially in a 9/8, well over $1,000. This one's a 9/4. It's a great cover. 9/4 is nice condition. You do want to try to get this book in better condition, kind of in the 9s at least, because it is a more modern book, 1978. Just it tends to lose its value pretty quickly once you start getting into even the the 8s and the 7s. All right, now this next one has at least one really big book in it. Has some cool books just in general, but one really nice book that I was watching this claim sale, and I couldn't believe it when this book popped up. I was just kind of listening, was doing some other things, and then the person was like, and up next I have this book for sale. I was like, my ears perked up very quickly, and I was ready to claim this book. I mean, it obviously depended on the price, but I was hoping the price was going to be something that I was going to be able to cover, and it felt like a really good price for this book, and I claimed it very quickly. So, but there's, like I said, there's a few books in here. It's a number of raws, and this is actually from the same seller that the Strange Tales 126 came from. So the first book is Astonishing Tales, number 25. And this is the first appearance of Deathlock. It's also the first George Perez artwork. And so it's got a couple things that make it a key issue. You know, that first artwork and the first appearance of Deathlock. This book has been going up quite a bit lately. So especially in the higher grades. This is more of a mid-grade copy, but the price was great. Thought it was a good book to pick up. Now this next one, I've bought 2 other copies of this book from this same seller already. I don't know where he keeps getting all of them, but I will just keep buying them from him. So as long as the prices continue to be good, and this one was fine. So this is Batman number 181, which is the first appearance of Poison Ivy. And it's one of these books, I've talked about it again quite a bit before, where this is one of the few Batman villains where their first true appearance is in the Silver Age. And so many of the other villains, their first true appearances are in the Golden Age, and you get these books where it's first appearance in the Silver Age. But this one, it's actually her first appearance. She's right on the cover, and she's become a very popular character lately. I think a lot of it has come from the Harley Quinn cartoon. If you haven't ever watched that, it is amazing. It is really fun, and she's just become a major character in that, and I think has become much more well-known and popular. So definitely love grabbing this book. The next one here is Tales to Astonish, number 93. Just a really pretty looking copy. I mean, he graded it a 6.5. Looks really nice. This is just a classic Silver Surfer cover. I believe it's one of his first crossovers. I don't know if it's his first crossover, but one of his first crossovers out of Fantastic Four, where he had a number of issues that he appeared in. But just a great cover with him battling the Hulk. You've got these flames on the cover. I really like how his eyes were drawn. You can see those little ridges that are in his eyes. I've always thought that looks really cool on this cover. And it's a unique colored background too. It's kind of like a reddish brown, but it really pops with Silver Surfer on there. So great book. Was happy to pick that one up. All right, next one, and this is a book I think pretty much everybody is going to know. This is X-Men number 266, which is recognized as the first appearance of Gambit, though there is a lot of controversy around it because he did actually appear first in X-Men Annual 14 and in multiple panels, multiple pages, all of that. So it doesn't fall into the normal cameo definition. So that's why there's always kind of controversy with this book on what the first appearance is. But in terms of value, this book is well above X-Men Annual 14, 2 to 3 times the value for this book. So super happy to grab a copy of this. Always looking for copies of this book. There are a lot of them out there, but he's a very popular character, always in demand. All right, the next one here, I have had a few copies of this book. I don't have any at the moment until now, but this is just a great DC book. This is Flash number 139, and this is the first appearance of the Reverse Flash, and it's just a great cover too. He's right on the cover, and I've always liked this cover. I think this is a good one. I've never really had a nice presenting copy of it. It always seems to be pretty beat up. This one's actually pretty nice though. Not a lot of damage to the cover. You know, there's definitely some creasing and that kind of thing going on down in the corner here, and a little bit of it's like kind of like a tape pull or tear up here, but nice presenting copy. very happy to add that book because I think that's one of the great Flash Silver Age keys. All right, so this is the last one here. This is the one that I was really the most excited about of all these. I mean, they were all great books in that from that purchase, but this is a cool one. This is Captain America number 76. And so this is Golden Age Captain America. This is from 1954. This is when the title changes back from, it was like Weird Tales or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was basically like Weird Tales for a few issues, then it switched back to Captain America. And this is late Golden Age, like I said, 1954. Just a great Captain America and Bucky cover, and so was just happy to pick this book up. It is not a common book. I just don't see Golden Age Captain America very often, especially not in claim sales like that. So when I heard him say, he's like, and up next I've got Captain America 76, I was like, wait a minute. It's like, I need to pay attention now because I'm probably going to want to pick up this book. So super happy to add that book. Now, this box here, I am going to hold off till the end because there's a big book in there, so I'm going to wait for that one. All right, now this next one. I believe there are 4 books in here, and I'll fast forward through this one as I open it. So the first book here, and this is just a great Silver Age key. Always happy to get copies of this book. And this is Tales to Astonish, number 35. And this is the second appearance of Hank Pym, or Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man. It's the first appearance of him in his costume. Great first appearance on the cover with that costume. I love this copy. And it's one of those things where we know another Ant-Man movie is coming. These are the types of books where if you watched my spec video that I did just a day ago or so, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about with spec. Spec doesn't necessarily have to be some obscure random book. It can be books that you know a movie is coming that other people just aren't buying yet, that they aren't really getting ahead of it. And this is the type of book there to get because it's a major key, so you know it's not really going to lose value. There's very little risk buying a book like this. But when you see a character actually again on screen, these books, they just spike. That is the way the market is treating them now. And so I like to go after books like that. Now this one presents really, really well, and I think part of the reason for the grade is you can see up in that corner there, it looks like there's some chew up there, like a mouse chew, but in general, I mean, this is a really, really nice looking copy. Oh yeah, so there's some mouse chew on the bottom here too. So you get a 4.0 because of that mouse chew, but a beautiful copy. All right, so the next one, and I feel like I talk about these books all the time too. This is another one of these spec books where it's not an obscure key, but prices have started coming down and they are going to skyrocket when this person comes back. And this is Star Wars number 42. So this is the first comic appearance of Boba Fett. He does appear in it's like Marvel Comics Super Special number 16 first, but that's a magazine, and you know, comics are generally what people are more interested in picking up because it just, I don't know, it fits on the shelves better, you know. when you've got the magazines, they don't fit shelves as well. They don't fit in the boxes, and so the preference is generally comics. Now this one is also the newsstand edition, and like I've mentioned before, I know that newsstands were more common in 1980 when this was out, but in high grades, less common. And so I like to get newsstands in high grade regardless of the time period. It doesn't matter to me if they were printed more in that time period. All right, and this last one here is a Golden Age book. And this is just a book, I've seen it come up for sale a few times recently. I hadn't been able to pick it up. And I think part of the reason I was able to get this one is it's a CBCS, and they sell for a little less, so I got it for the price I wanted. And this was Wings number 89. And this is just another one of these Good Girl Art bondage covers from 1948, and just another one of these cool books. Wings really kind of had different types of books that they that you could get. Some of them were just straight fighter pilot type covers, you know, where airplanes are flying around fighting each other. Other ones threw in these good girl elements, and those tend to sell for more than the other books. So those are the ones that you usually want to target if you're looking for books from that era, books from that run, and you want the ones that carry the most value. Now, I do have one more book here. It's actually a raw, and this is Fantastic Four number 25. And I'd been looking to pick up a copy of this book. This one isn't high grade or anything. There's a big tear here. But the colors are really nice on this copy, and there's, you know, some chipping down here on the bottom. But presents well. This is the first time the Hulk and the Thing battle on the cover, and it's also their first kind of time they're battling solo. The first time they'd fight is in Fantastic Four number 12, but the Hulk is fighting the entire team. It's the first time they're just fighting each other. And this is one of those books that talked about with Brian from Bry's Comics when we did our Fantastic Four Keys video, and had been trying to find a copy. This one came up and decided to grab it, so happy to get this book. All right, so now I've got this big box here, and there's some cool books in here. Some that I'm real excited to talk about, and it's some rare books. Some that aren't so rare, you know, some that are just kind of some key issues, but there are a few rare books in here, and I was surprised that I was able to pick them up, and real happy to be able to get those. Some that I will probably send off to get graded, but I'm gonna get in this box and we'll talk about these books. Alright, so I've got all these books out. I'm going to go through these. I'm going to start with the raw books. And the first one here is Vault of Horror, number 29. This is just a cool Johnny Craig pre-code horror cover. Vault of Horror title, I've talked about that one before. It's just one of these great EC titles. And just super creepy cover. Now, this next one here, I've got, I think, 3 copies of this now. I've been talking about this one. I think it's a great book to get right now. I still think it is quite undervalued, and this is Fantastic Four Annual number 1. And this is just an origin of Submariner story. Very early Spider-Man appearance, because you got Spider-Man down here. So very early Spider-Man appearance. I think, I can't remember, it was like the 7th appearance or something like that, 7th or 8th appearance of Spider-Man. So great book to get, especially with how expensive Fantastic Four number 4 has gotten, his first appearance, and Fantastic Four number 6, his second appearance. So origin stories are a great way to go, and this is an issue number 1, so I think that's a really good one to pick up. This is a book that I actually showed in my Golden Age Guru unboxing. I bought one from him too. This is Crime Suspense Stories number 9. The copy I bought from Jeff is actually a little nicer than this one. I think his was around a 5 or a 5.5. This is around I think maybe like a 3 or something like that. It's got a really big spine roll, you can see. But maybe something that can be cleaned up if I want to go that route. But it's another great pre-code horror EC title. Now this next one is really cool. I talked about this as well when I was opening the Matt Baker books, is that there are a few Matt Baker horror books, and this is one of them. Number 4, and it has reprints of Matt Baker horror art in it. And so, but just a cool horror pre-code cover. The Voodoo title has a lot of great covers in it, so I would definitely recommend checking that one out. It actually changes to Voodoo, I believe that's what it is, later, and it changes kind of more of a good girl art type series of books. But so Voodoo number 4, really cool book. Now got a bunch of pre-code horror books and some pretty big ones. So this one is Shock Suspense Stories number 12, and this is one of the kind of the more controversial covers. You know, you've got the heroin needle cover with this guy on the front, and so this is one of the books from this run that is got a pretty brutal cover. You know, very realistic cover. But yeah, so I was able to pick this one up, and that's definitely one of the bigger books from that run to get. Then I've got this book here, which this might be the rarest book that's in here. This is Haunt of Fear number 15. And even though it's number 15, it's actually issue number 1. Because it used to be, I think it was Gunfighter before this, and this is when it changed to these horror stories. And so this is the first issue of the Haunt of Fear run, and it is not a common issue. This is one that you do not see come up for sale very often. I haven't seen it come up for sale very often. And it does have some restoration on it. There's some glue on the spine, but this is one of those cases where if you see the book, if you can, you get the book, because it's just one that you do not come across very often. Very rare book to see, and so was happy to pick that one up. Next one is on the same level, and this is Haunt of Fear number 17, which is technically issue number 3. Now, something that can actually trick you if you look this up on like Go Collect or something like that, there are actually 2 Haunt of Fear 15s, 2 Haunt of Fear 17s, because the numbers roll back over. Eventually they start numbering them differently, and so you'll see 2 issues with that number, but usually it'll say 15 and in parentheses number 1, and then it'll say 17 and in parentheses number 3. And so these are actually the earlier 15 and 17. And the thing that's really big with this one is this is the first appearance of the, here you go, Haunt of Fear, the Vault of Horror, and the Crypt of Terror. This was also used in SOTI, so the Seduction of the Innocent, for the book that was written that then ended up driving the Comics Code Authority. So this is a really big book in that run to get. Now I have a couple great Tales from the Crypt books, and the first one here is just a really early book from the run. It started actually at issue number 20. Again, one of these weird numbering things. This is Tales from the Crypt 23. So just a cool pre-code horror book. Issue number 23, so it's technically issue number 4 in the run. And then we got this one that I've actually shown a graded copy that I picked up, and actually I sold that graded copy. This one is nicer. This is a nicer copy of this book. I think this is possibly the best cover of the entire Tales from the Crypt run. I love this cover. It is awesome. This is Tales from the Crypt number 28. And it's this buried alive cover with the guy right down there stuck in the coffin. I mean, this thing, it's just a brutal cover. And it just makes me think of the Kill Bill where they're punching out of the coffin, but I don't think he's getting out. I think he's probably stuck there. But this is one of the a pretty big book from the Tales from the Crypt run. So this is a big cover to get. Now this last one also really tough to get from the Tales from the Crypt run. This is the last issue of the run. This is Tales from the Crypt number 46. And so when you get to those final issues, you always end up with much lower print runs when they're about to be, stopped. And so final issue from that run, so it does command quite a bit more value because it's much less common to come across. I have had one other copy in the past, but I'd say this one looks about the same. It's a pretty low grade copy. It presents nice, but it's a lower grade copy, but complete looking cover, which is always a big positive to me for low grades. And werewolf cover, cool cover. Super excited to get those. Like I've said, pre-code horror has been really, really hot lately, and so if I get a chance to pick it up at what I think is like a decent price, I'm definitely going to do it. And there are a few of these I'm really considering sending in for grading as well, especially that Buried Alive one. I think that one's awesome. Now here's a book that I talked about in my recommendation for kind of spec books, and this is Marvel Premiere number 1, and this is 7-0. This is the first appearance of Adam Warlock as Adam Warlock, named Warlock. Prior to that, he's just called him, and so this is one of the keys for Warlock that I recommended that I think is really good to get. This one has gone up more than the others, so I did recommend Thor 165 and Fantastic Four 67 more than this one, but this is also a really good book. I know that Vancouver Comic Junkie, if you've ever watched his channel, he does really like this book as well. He thinks this is a great one to get for that character. This is one you might get tired of me showing because I've shown a couple other copies of it, but like I said, I will just keep buying this book. This is Shazam #1 in a 9/8 white pages copy, and this is the third 9/8 I have now of this book, and it's I don't know, it's just like what I was talking about with Adam Warlock. You've got these books and these characters that you know big things are coming, big events. You've got The Rock backing Black Adam, and you've got just the Shazam movie, which is really popular, and another one coming out. And the prices in these books started to decline. And so it's just, when you don't have the news on it and people start paying a ton of money for the first appearance of Kang, that kind of thing, when that spec hits, then these books become a little more affordable, and that is the time to pick them up, and that's what I've been doing. So I have 3 9/8 of that book now, and if I keep seeing them cheap, I will just keep buying them. Because eventually, when that movie comes out, it's just the way it is. The prices will go back up, and then I'll end up selling those books. I did have 5 copies of this at one point, and I had sold all of those when prices went up the first time. Now they've come back down, and I'm just buying some more. So then this one here, awesome first appearance, and just a great first appearance cover. This is Tales of Suspense #57, which is the first appearance of Hawkeye, who also has a Disney Plus show that's coming out, and so definitely a book that I think is really good to pick up right now. It is also one of these books that I will sell leading into that show, because I don't really know what the future is of that character, similar to Black Widow. So this is the type of book that I buy with the anticipation of selling. But this is also just, I mean, it's a big Silver Age key regardless. This is a great book to have. First appearance of a very popular character now, and so I don't think you can really go wrong with it. But in terms of if you're trying to buy it to sell, that's where you kind of lead into the show like that. So super excited again for that book. So those are the slabs there. Now I have one more book here, and this is definitely the biggest book that's in this pile. And I saw a post on Instagram where the seller was like, we got in a collection of Fantastic Four books, and no, it's not Fantastic Four #1, so I'll just I'll stop it right there, so I don't oversell it. But he said, I got in a collection of Fantastic Four books, these are what we have and these are ordered for sale. This was the only slab. All the rest of them were raws, and I almost bought one of the other raws in there as well because felt it was a really good price. But this is an upgrade to an existing copy that I have. This is a tough book to get in a grade like this, so I was pretty quick to make a claim on this one. I didn't even bother with an offer. I claimed it outright because I figured someone would. If it wasn't me, someone else was going to end up buying that book really quick. So let's see here. Yeah, this is great. All right, so I'm gonna put this one down, and this is Fantastic Four #3 in a 6.0, and I talked about this book when I was talking about the Fantastic Four keys, and this is one of the least common books. I believe it's of kind of the big books, especially within like the first 10 or so. This has the least copies that are graded. They're less than issue 1, less than issue 2, and it's just an amazing cover. It's the first time that they're in their costumes, so it's the first time you see them dressed up as the Fantastic Four. You've got the first appearance of the Fantasticar up there, and I mean, just a 6.0 off-white to white pages. Now, I don't think this will necessarily press any better than a 6.0. You could maybe get a 6.5 because it's not the old slab, but it's a little older. Because you can see there is a in the bottom down here. So you can get there's a crease there, a corner crease. But my Daredevil 7 had a very similar corner crease, presented relatively well like this, and that one got a 6.5. Now this one doesn't look like it's been pressed. The reason I say that is you can see in the corner there, you can see in the corner there, that little bend, that looks like that has not been pressed out. But I don't know, like I said, if this would actually get any better, so I don't know if it's worth risking. Now, you have the possibility of maybe getting a bump to white pages, which can be a big deal with a book like this, but just, yeah, a beautiful copy of this book. Really excited to add that one, because in this grade, I think it puts it in like the top, it might be 25% or so of books for this book, and so it's not common in that grade. Big book, really happy to get it, especially with what we've got coming in the future with the Fantastic Four. I think this is a really undervalued one, and it's not one that's really easy to say to go like spec on, because there just aren't very many of them out there. There are less than 1,000 blue labels, and so when you talk about everywhere, you know, that for how many books are for other keys, that is a pretty low number. And I think it's around 900 blue labels that are actually out there. So very excited to get this book. Just a lot of great books. Real happy with everything that I got. I'm gonna have to, go through the raws and all that. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to click on those and watch those, and the subscription button right here if you'd like to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.